$3 draft. We're definitely drafting. We just got in and yeah, it's not even close to filling. It's waiting for 11 people. So there's no way in hell that's going to fill right now. We're going to leave. Maybe we can do a $500 draft down the line. Instead, we will be looking at one of the smaller underdog tournaments. They just dropped the Pomeranian. I believe they dropped this I don't know. I've been on vacation today, maybe yesterday. I don't know. When did they drop the Pomeranian, ladies and gentlemen? 45,000 entrants already. $3 buy-in, $200,000 prize pool, $20,000 for first, $10,500 for second, all the way down the line. Let's get in here. And there are 5 spots open for anybody wanting to draft with us. But thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate you stopping by to hang out with us. I am sorry we had to go to the brother's graduation. I tried to get him to fail. I tried my best. Sadly, I was not successful. So we had to go to Florida for a couple days, but we are back and we will be here for quite a while. So Henry says they dropped a pug and it filled in like one day. Brian says this dropped yesterday, this tournament. Leonal in here at 9. Yeah, and I'm not going to lie to you, ladies and gentlemen. While I've been on vacation, have not spent a second thinking about fantasy football. I have not spent a second looking at underdog drafts. And this will be the first draft that I am in since we got the Kyron news. Now, I'm not really going to be stressing about, oh, do I take Kyron Williams? Do I let someone else take Kyron Williams? Yada, yada, yada. I'm picking here at 10 and 15, right? 10 and 15. Kyron's not on the board for me. I'm assuming he's not making it to pick 34. I mean, last I was drafting, he was going at the end of the second round. Just in case you don't know, Kyron's hurt. Blake Corum now looks a little more interesting. But yeah, please put in the chat, where is Kyron Williams going? And is there anything else that I maybe have missed that we need an update on? John says Kyron news. Yeah, Kyron report dealing with the small injury, going to miss some offseason stuff. It opens the door for Blake Corum. I know I saw a few people worried about it in our Discord. Okay. Kyron's going early third, 2-3 turn. Okay, that's what I assumed he'd be going. Okay. Lurk, okay, this is another update that we have to give. Lurkin says Will Levis at least a top 30 pick. I'm not going to lie to you, ladies and gentlemen. Will Levis may be coming in at 10 for me. We for sure need to move Levis up our rankings, minimum. About 50 slots. I think Will Levis probably borderline top 12 quarterback. Okay, so Bijan goes 6, St. Brown goes 7, Breece Hall goes 8. There's not too much to discuss, right? It's a tough spot. Ooh, Underdog added the bye weeks here. We'll take AJ Brown. Not exciting, not unique, nothing special about it. It's pick 9, pick 10. This is the no man's land. This is gross. I have no idea what to do. Okay. Yeah, Hayden says more like top 12 overall player. Yeah, maybe if we were to get really unique, we go Levis here at 15. So Garrett Wilson goes, Jahmyr Gibbs immediately after. So it looks like everything is extremely standard right now. London, I'm not excited about taking London. Do we go for a Philly onslaught? It's not unique. It's not special. I don't know what else to do. We will take Saquon Barkley and look for Hurts there at pick 34. But Raphael says, how you feeling? Feeling good. I don't know if I'm not going to show you all my legs in the live stream right now, but yeah, maybe I can send y'all a picture. I took a picture and sent it to the family group chat earlier today because I got back to Austin last night. I was going to live stream, but didn't have the time. Our flight was delayed. And today I had a stack workouts. I had to go for a 50-mile bike and then a 14-mile run. But it was 102 degrees in Austin. So my legs, I got to the Y after the run. It was like I ran for 2 hours, 102 degrees. It was the most miserable thing I could ever imagine in my entire life. I'm literally considering leaving Austin for the summer. I have no idea how I can be here. My legs got so many like red welts all over them. Like my thighs, my calves, everywhere. They're still there right now. And I thought it was because maybe I ran through poison ivy because I was trying to stay in the shade on the trail. But I looked it up and I think it was from the heat. So outside of that, doing well, my friend. Okay. Now we got Debo Evans alive. We have a run on wide receivers here in the middle of round 2. So Kyron goes pick 23. So if you're looking at where Kyron was going previously, it was like going at 19, 20. So really no change here. Cameron says first half Ironman in December. Any tips? Well, my friend, I am far from an expert, but first off, wishing you the best of luck. I'm assuming you're already training. I would say, I don't know how far down the road you are. One, if you are a brand new beginner, for the love of God, get a bike trainer so you can just bike on the trainer, not have to go out on the road. You get way better workouts in and you're not going to get by car. And two, during the race, I would say just don't do anything for the first few days before, but I have no idea, my friend. Okay, Stephon Diggs makes it down to 27. Nico goes 26. So it's interesting to see the team at 1 decide to pass on the potential Nico Diggs stack in favor of Laporta Pacheco. I really do not like the Pacheco selection at 25. I understand the argument, obviously, reaching on ADP, trying to make it a little bit more of a unique build. The issue is taking Pacheco at 25. You're going to have other teams that have CeeDee Lamb and Sam Laporta that are able to get Pacheco at the 4-5 turn. So you're most likely going to be outgunned by those rosters. So like if instead you wanted to reach on a running back that's going at like the 3-4 turn, if instead of reaching on Pacheco, you wanted to reach on Josh Jacobs, I understand that a little bit more than I do taking Pacheco at 25. Okay. Let's move this. Michael Pittman goes 32. Achane made it down to 31. By far and away the furthest I've seen Achane fall. DJ Moore goes, do we roll the dice and see if we can get Hurts on the way back around? We will. We're going to go with our first selection ever of DK Metcalf here at 34. Just trying to push ADP, just seeing if we can get a little more of a unique team here at the 3-4 turn. Metcalf typically going a little closer to the middle of the 3rd round. By no means am I trying to sell this as some phenomenal pick. I don't necessarily think it is, but the reason I think that we have a shot at getting Jalen Hurts on the way back around is Josh Allen had not gone yet, and the Devonta Smith team was there at 29. So with Smith being there at 29, obviously we're not having to worry about the Smith-Hurts pairing at the turn. So I think that there's a chance that we can get Jalen Hurts on the way back around. If Jalen Hurts does get selected, we are probably going to panic and take Lamar, but we will get Jalen Hurts here at 39. I do want to reiterate, I know we talk about this all the time, but a lot of times you'll see people reach on their stacks thinking that they have to, and you have to understand, like, Jalen Hurts has an ADP at the 3-4 turn, primarily because the team that has A.J. Brown and or Saquon Barkley and or Devonta Smith will take Jalen Hurts. So a lot of times you don't need to take him in the 3rd. If you're the team that has both A.J. Brown, Saquon Barkley, and the Devonta Smith team isn't even in the area, you can kind of just wait a bit and get him in the 4th. So that's exactly what we're going to do here. We have the Eagles double stack. Obviously Hurts, Barkley don't correlate great, but it is what it is. I think it's a little more of a unique build with DK Metcalf, Jalen Hurts having an ADP, I believe, of 32 and 37. Not super great, but it is what it is. We got pick 10. What do you want from me? But of course, if somehow you have not done so already, hit the like button if you want another draft. We have not drafted in quite some time. And if you want to get in our next draft, we're going to be doing this pretty much every single night. I think our next time we're leaving you will be June 9th. But before then, I'm streaming every single night, ladies and gentlemen. And if you want to draft with us, it's on Underdog Fantasy, my favorite place to draft. They're best ball drafts, so no time commitment at all during the year. So I drafted hundreds of teams every offseason over the past like 3-4 years. So I won 150,000 on Underdog 2 years ago. And yeah, if you use code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar. They're going to give you a 50% deposit bonus up to $250. Plus, you're going to get our 2024 fantasy football rankings. Plus, you will get a special NBA pick'em, something like Luka Doncic, more than less than half a total point, depending on whatever the NBA game is the night that you sign up, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, code FLOCK, link in the live chat, available pretty much everywhere. I mean, I need to update this map. I completely understand that, but available even now in Michigan. So you can look at the map, see if it's in your state, but pretty much everywhere. Okay, so let's move this over. Bubba says, why do you do the tournament drafts over normal season 12 player drafts? I mean, honestly, it is up to you. But personally, it doesn't get me super excited to live stream every single night. Like entering in a $3 underdog draft that has, it's just a 12-team league that has like a $33 prize pool that if you win, you get $15. Personally, that's not as exciting for me as knowing I have the chance to win a tournament, knowing that if I win a tournament, I get to come on the live stream and get to brag to everybody that I did. So yeah, I mean, my first year on Underdog, I really didn't draft in the tournaments, which I wish I did. My first year on Underdog, I really only did like the 12-team drafts with y'all. But over the past 2 years now, I want to say maybe 3 years, 2021, 2022, now 2024. Yes, over the past 2 years, now is year 3. I'm really hammering in the tournaments, of course. But Mahomes falling a bit here. Interesting to see both Mahomes and Amari. So Amari goes 54, Mahomes goes 55. Really, I love this Billy P team. Super unique build that, oh my gosh, let me show y'all this team. That is a nasty, nasty team. Oh, I just can't stop thinking about that. Now, what do we want to do? I have no idea. We're going to mix it up a bit. We're going to take Kenneth Walker, go in on the Seattle offense with Walker and Metcalf. It's gross. Am I excited? No, but I think we're going to try something a little new. Okay. So Hollywood, Rome, both off the board. Lad goes as well. I think we're going to reach on someone here. Especially if you were looking at these drafts that are going to fill in like a day or two. Like this tournament's going to fill in a day or two, right? It's been open for a day and already has 45,000 entrants. I think you can be a little more aggressive on assuming that you're going to get unique builds, such as taking like Kenneth Walker, ADP 63.5, Jordan Addison, ADP 68. I mean, we could go Richardson and go with the bully quarterback. Honestly, we're going to do that. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Anthony Richardson here, 63, and then be done at QB. But ignore my team. My team's garbage. The team that y'all need to be looking at right now is team number 7. Gets Amon-Ra St. Brown at pick 7. Then gets, oh my gosh. GG. Everybody look at Billy P. Yeah, it coming out and flexing on everybody. And I got Worthy on the way back. That is one of the prettiest underdog teams I've ever seen. I don't want to say ever seen. That's one of the prettiest underdog teams I've seen this year. St. Brown, London, super unique start. If you look at where London goes, London was highest ranked player according to ADP when I was on the clock at 15. You're not going to see too many Amon-Ra St. Brown, Drake London builds. Devon Achane typically going at the 2-3 turn, here getting him at 31. Travis Kelce typically going at the 3-4 turn, getting him at 42. And then getting Mahomes at 55, who usually goes late round 4. And getting Xavier Worthy usually goes late round 5. So you have the hero RB builds with the double stack for Mahomes at extremely strong prices as well. Yes, the good fellow says he took what the draft gave him, good stuff, 100%. I mean, this is why, like, when everybody asks, like, oh, what's the best strategy? Do I need to be going zero RB? Do I need to be going hero RB? Do I need to be going double anchor RB? What do I need to be doing? Pretty much every year, and I will continue to say this forever, you need to do what the draft gives you. You need to understand the strategies, understand advantages, disadvantages. But if things fall to you, you got to let it happen. Like, typically, I'm not really trying to force anything in the underdog tournaments. I'm trying to let things fall to us, and a lot of times your team will look garbage like the team at 10. I don't know what sucker would ever draft a team like that. Sometimes it will look really nice. Henry says Javon Baker's 701. And Xavier Legette. Did that team auto those guys? I wasn't really paying attention. They took Pacheco at 25 as well. Dear God. All right, let's swing this over. Obviously, we want Kyler off the board. Copy paste date says, yeah, the fish are giving me insane drafts in the $3 tournament too. I wonder if it is this being the $3 palm, you getting better builds overall. Brian Thomas Jr. off at 80. We definitely want to take him if he would have made it to us. So I don't know if I've taken DeAndre Hopkins in a single one of these drafts, ladies and gentlemen. But now that we have the inside on Will Levis, actually, no, DeAndre Hopkins goes. I assume that you got to see Hopkins, Ridley, Pollard, all these guys got to go up in ADP, right? So DeAndre Hopkins going at 81. I'll take Deontay Johnson. I don't like Deontay. I found myself drafting a considerable amount of him for whatever reason. But, interesting to see Zamir White falling in ADP a bit. I don't know if I think we drafted Zamir White once and he fell to us in round 8. But yeah, it looks like the Zamir White price point's a lot more reasonable. Kyler goes 84. Really like the Kyler pick. Zamir 85. So a big reason why you see Christian Watson go in this range is just because the Jordan Love team takes him typically. Could do a couple different things. We could take Rashee Rice. I honestly don't mind the idea of taking Jonathan Brooks either. Spam the chat. Who do you want? Do you want Rashee Rice, Jonathan Brooks, Christian Watson? Spam the chat. Rashee Rice, Jonathan Brooks, Christian Watson. We're going with who you want. 1 vote Brooks. 2 votes Rice. 2 votes Brooks. Watson, Brooks. It looks like most people are saying Brooks. Najee, Watson, Brooks. Brooks, Watson, Rice, Brooks. JB, Jonathan Brooks, Watson, Brooks, Rice, Brooks. But it looks like most people wanted Jonathan Brooks. So we'll take him here, 87. We'll go with the Panthers, and let me pull this up because it's getting to be an issue. I don't know if I'm making a mistake here. Also, is this right? YouTube's saying we only have 67 likes on this stream. If you have not done so already, if you want another draft after this, ladies and gentlemen, go down there, hit that like. If we hit 300 likes on this live stream, we will fire up another one. I think that's probably the fewest amount of likes we've ever had on a stream. Or not ever, but in at least this year. But I need to figure out how many teams we have taken these Panthers on. I feel like I have just been a grade A clown taking these Panthers over and over again. Carolina. I have 20% Xavier Legette, 16% Adam Thielen, 12% Bryce Young, 12% Deontay Johnson, 8% Chuba, 8% Mingo, and probably about to be 8% Jonathan Brooks. So I don't know how we've done it, why we've done it, but it looks like we have made the Carolina Panthers our team for this year. Never expected that to be the case, but it's happening, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. McLean says, how do you pull up those shares? Just go to your completed drafts, and then you should be able to from there, my friend. Obviously, at this point, we can't take another quarterback. We are running back, wide receiver, tight ends. So we'll be a 3 tight end builds, especially as we don't really see anybody viable here in the 9th. If we wanted to take Goddard there in the 10th for the Philly onslaught, we can. We already have Barkley as well as Brown. Okay, Javonte gives 104. Y'all know I'm a sucker, and I take a considerable amount of Sutton in this range. Let's see if this team has a reason to take Sutton. They go Lockett. We will take Sutton. I personally think that Sutton is a better option than almost any other wide receiver here at this ADP. I think a lot of times you'll see those stacking options like Samuel, Dobbs, Shakir get pushed up just because the Allen team's typically taking them. Whereas if you're in a vacuum and you don't have the Allen build, or if you don't have any of the potential stacks here, you'll see like Romeo Dobbs get pushed up because the Jordan Love team's taking him as well. It kind of makes sense for you to more so take the guy that projects out to be the wide receiver one in his offense in Sutton. Naeem says, from not liking him to loving him. Well, now he's the unquestioned wide receiver one in his offense. And instead of taking him in round 3, we're getting him with the 9-10 turn. So, yes, I actually do like Sutton now. Can y'all spam the chat? Who do you want between Mike Williams, Devin Singletary, Nick Chubb? Benny says, had pick 2, took CMC, Ayuk, Debo, McBride in the first 4. Really strong. No, I really like that, my friend. I mean, you got him at a strong value. Are y'all trolling me? Everybody's saying Chubb. I'll take Chubb for y'all if y'all want me to light $3 on fire. Chubb. Singletary, Chubb. Singletary, Chubb. Mike, Chubb. Chubb will not play. Well, I don't know, my friend. I guess the chat wants me to draft someone that will not play. So we'll do it. I'll oblige. We'll take Nick Chubb here, pick 111. Maybe would have made a little more sense to take Mike Williams, but it is what it is. So now we are sitting here. Wide receiver, A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, Deontay Johnson, Cortland Sutton. Running back, Barkley, Walker, Brooks, Chubb. Quarterback, we have Hurts, and then an unstacked Anthony Richardson. And this will be a team in which we most likely need to go through and take 3 tight ends and only 1 more running back. Russell's thoughts on Josh Reynolds. I actually don't mind Reynolds at all as an 18th round throw-in. Like, I have taken him. Okay. Yeah, so going back to you, Benny, I mean, we definitely already answered this. No, it's not too many Niners if you're getting them at that value. I mean, if you look at the vast majority of these drafts where Ayuk and Debo go in, there are going to be few teams that are able to actually have that combo of them. So AD Mitchell goes 120. Obviously, it would have been nice to get AD Mitchell on the way back round 11 or 12 or 13 or 14 to pair up with Anthony Richardson. McLean says Mitchell or Downs. If it's like a full PPR format, I'd probably rather have Downs, especially if you're submitting your starting lineup. The issue is in an underdog best ball draft, it may just be a little bit different whenever you can get the big play. I have more faith in AD Mitchell to give you big plays versus Josh Downs. Where I have Downs, I have more faith that he's going to just get safe target volume. So we are running back, wide receiver, tight end. Has Hawkinson been falling more in ADP? Dengue says, who's your most owned rookie in Dynasty? I only play in Superflex leagues, and I was getting a lot of Michael Penix mid-round too. Trog says, what's the hype about Levis? If you know my man, you know. If you don't, I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry. You're just not researching enough, to be honest. Not staying on your game. It's best ball summer, my friend. You got to know every little detail. Okay. So Chase Brown makes it to us. I'm not a big Chase Brown guy. I'll mix him in if he falls 11 picks past ADP, but that will be our last running back, which kind of puts us in an awkward spot where if the strong value on the board is RB, if the strong value on the board is quarterback, there's just absolutely nothing we can do. We kind of are stuck taking receivers and tight ends, which is a vintage flock draft. Yeah, Drake's been watching a lot of Levis film. Kate says, this is really funny. I might be putting mayo on my morning coffee from now on. That is hilarious, my friend. Okay, Dontavian Wicks gives off the board 131. I'm not super excited about taking Wicks here, but of course, I'm not going to be crying about taking any receiver round 12. Gary says, shout out to Angelo's birthday, and he drafted Penix. Shout out to Angelo. Shout out to Angelo, my friend. Okay, so Jerome Ford goes 133. Please, for the love of God, let's get as many of these running backs off the board as we possibly can. Can I offer anybody any interest in Ezekiel Elliott by chance? Just in case we weren't bad enough at the beginning of the year with no Nick Chubb, no Jonathan Brooks, might as well triple down and go, okay, well, how about no TJ Hawkinson either? We'll go ahead and we'll take Hawkinson at 135 now. Before you scream at me saying, oh my gosh, Mason, don't you know? Well, Hawkinson's going to miss time. Hawkinson's banged up, blah, blah, blah. I understand. And yes, I know. But at the same time, if Hawkinson was fully healthy, TJ Hawkinson would be a 5th or a 6th round pick. So it's priced in. Is it priced in appropriately? No idea. I haven't taken a lot of them. I love the talent. Uncertain offense. I get it. But it's not like McCarthy's guaranteed to be bad this year, right? There's an upside at least. Patrick says, is Hurts falling with Kenny Pickett, quote unquote, practice hype? I'm not going to lie to you. I may be tuned into the Will Levis situation, but I'm not tuned into the Kenny Pickett situation, my friend. We have different priorities here. So I have no idea what you're talking about. And I can pretty confidently say that if any Kenny Pickett hype gives us a discount on Jalen Hurts, I will be drafting as much Jalen Hurts as I possibly can. As much as I can. Okay, so after we take Hawkinson, exactly what we want to see happens. We get running backs and a quarterback off the board. Now, interesting to see the team after us decide to take Ezekiel Elliott instead of Dalton Schultz. Schultz falls considerably past ADP, and that's a team that had the Dell and CJ Stroud stack. Okay, I kind of want to go back to Team 7 here and see how they're looking. It's like we said previously. I mean, this was by far and away the best team. I mean, one of the best teams that I've seen all year, and by far and away the best team that we have seen in this draft. They go St. Brown, London, Achane out the gate. They somehow get the Mahomes double stacked with Kelsey and Worthy. They're at pick 42-66. Going JSN over Brian Thomas Jr. isn't necessarily something that I love, but it's just personal preference. They go with the entire Chiefs onslaught. Rashee Rice, pick 90. Obviously cannot fault them for taking Rice at 90 when they have Mahomes. Benson, 103. Singletary at a great value. Judy, 127. Cousins to stack up with London. Yeah, Team 7 is beautiful. Okay. Let's move this over. We cannot be taking quarterback or running back, ladies and gentlemen. It's gross. It is what it is. But we are taking wide receivers and tight ends. Quentin Johnston off the board, 148. I would have taken him if you would have made it. Miller goes. Good for us. Darnell goes 150. I assume that BP would have taken Darnell to get the London Cousins Mooney combo. John says dodge the Johnson bullet. Yes, thank you for not making me waste a draft pick on Quentin Johnston. Jalen Polk goes 152. I prefer Jalen Polk well ahead of Roman Wilson, well ahead of Troy Franklin. I'm not really even considering the wide receivers here with how gross they are, to be honest. Benson Ott really just goes here to the Jaden Daniels team most of the time. Luke Musgrave just... We're going to take Musgrave. It is what it is. He goes here a lot just for the Jordan Love team. But I didn't like Roman Wilson as a prospect. I don't like his offense. It's not like he got great draft capital. I almost would rather have Marvin Mims than Troy Franklin. I think you make an argument for Franklin based off the fact that we have Sutton. But let me crack the knuckles. Let's gear it up. And I think instead, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to continue to take as many Panthers as we possibly can. Benny says, who were your best picks last year and who were your worst picks last year? Let me ask the live chat this. What do you all think my best and worst picks were last year? I would say my worst pick before Trey Lance was traded. I was drafting a lot of Trey Lance. That was my worst. But to be completely honest with you, the reason I did not win any underdog drafts was not because of who I drafted, but rather who I did not draft. So the trifecta of players that I did not draft, which if you didn't draft them, would have been pretty much damn near impossible to win anything on Underdog last year, or at least win any tournaments, that is. I did not draft any Mostert, really. I did not really draft any Kyron. And I did not really draft any Puka. So to be completely honest with you, my friend, I don't really remember much else just because I know that is the main thing that killed us. Obviously, Lance didn't help, but to be honest, at the end of the day, I mean, I did not have too many teams with Lance. And a lot of times we were taking Lance, we were taking him around 17, around 18. Goddard was also a very bad pick. The issue with Goddard is, I think Goddard was a worse pick than Lance. I honestly still, I know people are going to roll their eyes when I say this. I still think the thought process behind taking his bunch of round 17, round 18 Trey Lance, I think it made sense. And I stand by the thought process that we had and where we went through, and we took a lot of Jonathan Taylor whenever everything was super murky and you were getting him at a massive discount, just because all the money is up for grabs in weeks 15, 16, 17, trying to find the highest ceiling possible, especially in these tournaments. Obviously, it didn't work out. It is what it is. So those I don't really regret. I don't think were bad. The Goddard picks were I took a lot of Goddard, and that was very bad on the teams that I didn't have Hurts. I don't regret taking Dallas Goedert at the 6-7 turn on the Hurts builds, but to continue to take him in that range on the teams that we didn't have Jalen Hurts, that was horrendous. Let's see, Justin Jefferson was one of your worst picks. I don't care about that at all. Benny says Etienne was the best. Johnston or Goddard was the worst. I wasn't really taking Johnston in underdog drafts. I was fine with Johnston in Dynasty. But, yeah, no, Goddard was bad. Johnston didn't really hurt me at all in underdog. Isaac, happy to see you. Tampa was nice, my friend. I did draft CMC last year. I was taking Jefferson at 1, but I think everybody was taking Jefferson at 1 last year, no? Okay. Leonel says your best move was avoiding Tony. We did come out with the video and the article and everything in between, calling Kadarius Toney the worst pick in fantasy football drafts when he was going ahead of Mike Evans, which that was nice, but oh dear God, what's not nice, and this is what I wanted to avoid, is when we took Chase Brown there at pick 130, we boxed ourselves out of taking any of the running back value here where we just simply can't. And instead we were looking at wide receivers and tight ends. And the wide receivers and tight ends are much, much worse than the running backs at this point. Can we make an argument for any of these guys for potential correlation reasons? All the teams after us only have one tight end, so might as well take Noah Fant here, 178. I do not like our team at all. This is a garbage build. I'll be done at tight ends. We'll have the Carolina onslaught, the Philly onslaught, the Seattle onslaught. And we are going to be taking a bunch of swings and probably a bunch of misses here at wide receiver. So Jaleel goes 179, Jonnu 180. Vinny says Bijan was your best picks since you're his personal trainer. What's actually funny about me drafting Bijan round 1 last year is, if y'all remember, before I ran into him at the gym and took the picture with him, I had less than 1% Bijan in like 200 drafts. I was like adamantly not drafting Bijan Robinson. And then I was like, okay, I interviewed the guy at the draft. I'm a Texas Longhorn. I ran into him at the gym and he let me take a picture of him. I have to root for him this year. So we ended up drafting Bijan Robinson round 1 like everybody else. But honestly, don't regret it. I think the stars were aligned. We had to. Henry says, Mason, tell them to like the stream if they want another draft. Like the stream if you want another draft, ladies and gentlemen. But let's move this down. I don't want to be talking about my team. It is not good. Please do not do it. Please do not draft the way that I did. Honestly, the pick that messed this up was taking Nick Chubb instead of Mike Williams. That may have been a crowdsourced pick. I may have asked y'all for it, so I may be blaming you right now. But to be honest with y'all, yeah, I think that is what kind of messed up the build. Because I think we kind of have to take Chase Brown there when he makes it to us to pick 130. But If we go Mike Williams there at 111, we do give ourselves a lot of optionality and a lot of flexibility later on in the draft room, where we are able to take some of these running backs that we like at strong values. We are able to take Jaleel here at 178. Levis, 187, steal of the draft. I figured after the weekends, this would be a quarterback that was going top 30 picks, but it is what it is. Ron says, how many palm entries are you doing? I am still sticking by the only underdog drafts that I'm doing as of right now in May are on the live stream. Maybe later in the offseason, we begin to get more in, but as of right now, I am trying to just get as much energy as I can on this stream. And so I'm limiting myself from not spending all day at the gym drafting as we have in years past, and instead looking forward to the streams as much as we can. Which obviously I always look forward to the streams. But I'm saying, like, have the extra energy, be extra excited, be able to come in and draft these teams. As if I'm drafting like in years past, starting at 8 a.m., you know what I mean? And doing 20 drafts by the time I fire up the live stream. I'm not going to say I'm burnt out, but it's not as fresh as if we wait until the night to get our first draft in. Okay. Elijah Mitchell goes 199. Drew says we might get 300 likes. Leon also smashed that like button, just like how Levis smashed it. Yes. Agreed. Mean Muggin says, thoughts on Myers? I've been seeking him out in the middle round of best ball drafts, currently at 50% ownership. Obviously, it was very good last year. I was going to take Boyd here if he made it. It was very good last year. I mean, I don't necessarily know if we can sit here and we can say, oh, okay, yes, we can or run it back with Myers. It's probably going to be a pretty bad offense where you also now are in a spot where you're having to deal with Brock Bowers, who should be kind of operating in a similar area of the football field. I'm kind of neutral on Jacoby Myers. I mean, if we're looking at where he went in this draft here, let's see if I can find this man. He goes 126. Yeah, honestly, I mean, if he does 90% of what he did last year, obviously you're crushing at this price. Henry says 7 more likes, and then we'll fire up that next one. Then he says, have you ever done any auction drafts? Yeah, of course I've done auction drafts, my friend. Okay, so let's move this over. Is there anybody here that stands out that we may want to take? We'll go Josh Reynolds because someone asked us about him earlier. He's getting paid. We took Sutton. Maybe we take Josh Reynolds and go, okay, Troy Franklin's not going to be anything. Marvin Mims isn't going to be anything. Maybe we make that call. But it looks like we hit 300 likes on the stream. So I'm going to zoom by this team, act like we never drafted it, act like we did not just light $3 on fire. Show you all the rest of the draft board, though, and we are going to be firing up another draft, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get in another Pomeranian draft, $3 buy-in, $200,000 prize pool. First place, $20,000. Second place, $10,500. Third place, $8,000. Fourth place, $7,000. All the way down the line. Let's go ahead and let's get in this bad boy, ladies and gentlemen. Nate says, oh, happy to see you, my guy. Says, do you think the new coaching staff will make DK a wide receiver 1 and maybe JSN a wide receiver 2? I am not super optimistic here. I don't think that the Seattle, and of course we get freaking pick 9, always. But I don't think the Seattle coaching staff was a big issue on this team's offensive struggles last year. I know a lot of people want to blame them, but I don't know. I'd be more willing to buy, okay, Pittsburgh gets rid of Matt Canada, right? But to go through and say, like, the Seattle coaching staff, that was a playoff team with Geno Smith at quarterback was the main issue that you had in Seattle. I don't necessarily think that's the case. But Naeem says Money Mason can spare $3. True that, my friend. Piano says drafting at 4. And yes, we are at pick 9 again. Absolutely brutal. And always happy to see it with the 20-team league says, which 3 should we be keeping in our 20-team format? Mahomes, Moore, Waddle, Metcalf, leaning towards the 3 receivers and maybe taking Caleb to stack with Moore. You know your team. I mean, you know your league better than I do. But if everybody in your league is going to try to roster a quarterback and a backup QB, I mean, if they're going to try to roster 2 QBs, it may be a spot where you get boxed out. I would personally most likely be going Mahomes, Moore, Waddle. But if you know your league, if you know you're going to be able to get a quarterback at a value, then you can go with the 3 receivers. But I would definitely go DJ Moore, Jalen Waddle over DK Metcalf. John says, maybe Breeze falls to 9 in this one. Oh, Amon-Ra St. Brown goes at 3. That is interesting, my friend. Dengue says, thoughts on Arch Manning? To be completely honest with you, I have no... I don't know about quarterbacks in the NFL. I get these guys wrong all the time. Am I supposed to evaluate someone that you've only seen play high school football? I have no idea. Joy, welcome to being a member of the flock. Happy to have you, my friend. Happy to have you. Mean Muggin says, Mason, just take 2 receivers and Kelsey Mahomes and your draft will look great no matter what. We'll see. We'll see. Jose is the one who decided to take Amon-Ra St. Brown at pick 3. Swings around. Jonathan Taylor goes at 8. So we are going to get Bijan Robinson here at 9, ladies and gentlemen. Ian at pick 10 right after us. Mike, happy to see, as always, says 10-team 1 quarterback league. We have Kyler Stafford, traded Burrow for the 106, future second, and Will Levis. I think Burrow's surgery is career-threatening as a quarterback. Well, I know Will Levis's 3rd leg is probably stronger than Joe Burrow's, either Joe Burrow's, to be completely honest with you. But, I mean, if you're looking at the 106 versus Burrow on a league where you have Kyler, I'm fine with it, right? I'm not going to sit here and say that I think Burrow is, like, his career's threatened. I'm not going to go as far as saying that. But if it was super flex league, I'd absolutely hate it. 1 quarterback format, I think it's fine. So Gibbs, Barkley off the board. So we will be taking whoever falls between Marvin, London. Very rarely are you going to get Bijan at 9. I'd prefer probably it to be London. Yeah, London makes it to us. So it looks like this is a team where we are sending up a prayer and we are saying, please tell me that Arthur Smith was the actual issue here in Atlanta. Please tell me that Kirk Cousins is going to carry over the passing volume that we've seen historically for him over to the Atlanta Falcons. Maybe it happens. Maybe it doesn't. But regardless, we'll find out together. In a worst case scenario, we do not see this $3 again. Okay. Dengue says, did you see Luka's game winner yesterday? I'm going to be honest with you, my friend. How I've been consuming NBA news lately, outside of like some small sports podcast that I've listened to since I was in high school. So there are a couple podcasts that I listen to that I've listened to like for 10 plus years that, like, oh my gosh, I would be so like, and they are pretty small too, to the point where it's like, I don't know how much longer they're going to do it. And I'd be so freaking sad if they stopped doing it. And like, literally, like those are I support them on Substack, support them on Patreon, try to do anything to keep them still doing it. But anyway, I consume NBA stuff through that, but it's like super casual. And I consume NBA stuff through Instagram Reels, which is also obviously super casual. But yes, I did see Luka's game winner through Instagram Reels this morning. So it's not like I can sit here and talk about it a lot. Look cool. Tycho Noah says, I mean, they're going to be a lot better if Kirk is 80% himself. 100%, right? But the thing is, like, if you're taking Bijan, pick 9, London, I mean, especially London. Let's talk London. Like, we can sit here and we can go, oh, okay, London's going to be better with Kirk Cousins than he was with Desmond Ridder. True. Nobody's arguing against it. But at the same time, it's priced in. You're having to take London at pick 16. This guy has never been he's never been a wide receiver 3 in fantasy, you know? So we're betting that he's going to go from like wide receiver 50 to like a top 5 to 10 option if you're taking him here. So we can sit here and go, oh, yeah, London and this offense is going to be better with Kirk Cousins. It's not like we're the only people who think that, right? But Benny says, where's the LaCroix? To be honest, I've been, since I've been training for the Ironman and stuff, like since today, we like did the 2-hour run, the 2.5-hour bike all day long during my workouts. I'm just like taking like the gels, eating like gummies and like just getting so much like sugar and crap in me so I can keep going. It's like you have to have like 60 grams of carbs minimum per hour that you're doing that. So at night, like once I'm done working out, I don't want anything sweet. Like I don't want anything really flavored. So LaCroix's not been anywhere near my mind lately. Devon Achane falls to mid-round 3 in this draft as well. Very interesting to see Achane continuing to fall. Remember, if you were drafting before the NFL draft, this is someone that was going super early. What the hell do we do? I have no idea. God dang, what do we do here? I literally have no idea. I'm going to take Kelsey just because I think he can easily outscore the wide receivers in this range. I hate tight end later on. And if I'm looking at like Metcalf, Zay Flowers, Tank Dell, T. Higgins, I think all of them are the same. If I'm looking at Henry, Travis Etienne, Josh Jacobs, I think all of them are the same. So I don't really care who we get on the way back around at pick 40. I would have loved to get Laporta. I would have loved to get Waddle. I'd have been pretty damn happy with Achane. Y'all know a lot of times here at the 3-4 turn, I've been taking Devonta Smith, but Smith doesn't make it to us in this one. Dangy says, who was the 101 in Superflex leagues when you started playing Dynasty? I started playing Dynasty in 2014, my friend, and Superflex, I mean, it was a thing in 2014, but it was not super common. Like Superflex is relatively, I don't want to say new, but I know this is crazy. I would go T. Higgins over Tank Dell. And I'd go Josh Allen over Tank Dell as well. I'm going to take whoever falls between Higgins and Allen. Probably with preference of Allen. Allen goes, so we will be taking T. Higgins. Let's move this over. Nate says Dell will be the best fantasy receiver in Houston. I have no faith in Tank Dell. Let me pull this up. Now, this is going to be aggressive, and I get it. And obviously, the NFL is different now than it was 20 years ago, but let's walk through this Tank Dell experience, because I am seeing Tank Dell move up the board in these drafts, and I'm fine saying that Dell's a fine pick in round 4, right? If you want to take Tank Dell in round 4, by all means, go ahead. But to say Tank Dell will be the wide receiver 1 in Houston, or to like put him ahead of Zay Flowers, I'm just saying this should be the highest Tank Dell goes. I'm not going to say it's a bad pick here at 41. You do you. But if he's sneaking into round 3, I will 100% not take any Tank Dell this next year. Let me pull up a historical screener real quick so we can find this. Tank Dell is a 165-pound wide receiver. What I want to do here is I want to look at the best wide receiver seasons that we have ever had in fantasy football, at least since the year 2000, for wide receivers that weighed 165 pounds and less. We're going to go points per game, PPR, and let's figure this out. Okay. The highest points per game that you've had for wide receivers, 165 pounds and less. Tank Dell this past year at 16.5. We're going to be looking at guys that played 10 or more games. Tank Dell played 10 games this past year. The issue is with these small guys, you have to worry about them getting hurt. Tank Dell got hurt. The next best option, Taylor Gabriel, 2016 at 11.8 fantasy points per game. The next best option, J.J. Nelson, 10.1 points per game in 2016. Then you had Tutu Atwell in 2023 at 8 points per game. Then you had Cavante Turpin, I don't even know who this guy is, in 2023, 5.4 points per game. That's it. And yes, Tank Dell was a good rookie last year, but Tank Dell was a 24-year-old rookie. John says Worthy is around Dell size, right? Yes, Worthy is around Dell size, which is why I'm not sitting here screaming that Xavier Worthy, even though he's the wide receiver 1 for Patrick Mahomes, is a super strong value with where he's going in round 6. If Xavier Worthy had prototypical size and everything else alongside his profile, I would be taking Xavier Worthy round 4, round 5 every single time. Smith is Smith is larger than Dell. I can go ahead and pull that up for you. This is another draft where Stroud falls. I'm assuming he goes to this team here that took Tank Dell, and we're just going to go ahead and we're going to take James Cook. Now, if they decide to pass on Stroud, Stroud's just they go Richardson. They opt to take Richardson to pair with Jonathan Taylor rather than Stroud to pair with Dell. Very interesting. Stroud's a super awkward quarterback to take in that you can't really make an argument for rushing upside to have him unstacked as you can with like Anthony Richardson. If you are taking Stroud, you really need to have some Houston options, because if Stroud is going to have that spike week that you need in weeks 15, 16, 17, you're most likely going to see a blow up spot from one of the receivers as well. So there at pick 56, I was really expecting Stroud to go because I think he's a great value there, especially if you're a Dell build, but I don't know if it makes sense for our team. So we're going to take James Cook instead. Then he says take Pitts. If Pitts makes it back around to us at 64, maybe we go for the Atlanta onslaught, but I'm definitely taking James Cook here over Pitts. It's not like it's a super unique thing to have Pitts and London paired up. I mean, everybody's doing it. Okay. Mason says Devonta Smith, weight 170, Tank Dell, weight 165. Smith is bigger. And the big difference between Smith and Dell as well is Devonta Smith was a round 1 NFL draft pick that put up arguably the best collegiate season of all time at the wide receiver position. I mean, I know that's a bold statement, but let me pull this up from Devonta Smith. I mean, he's just a completely different pedigree player. Devonta Smith at Alabama, 1,800 receiving yards. I mean, almost 1,923 receiving touchdowns. 24 total touchdowns in 13 games played at Alabama. Like I said previously, I think taking an unstacked Stroud is pretty bad. For the reason being that if you're going to expect spike weeks, he's not going to give you a ton on the ground. Last year, only 167 yards rushing and 3 rushing touchdowns. But from a uniqueness perspective, the amount of teams that are going to be able to take Stroud at this price point in this tournament, slim to none. It's not like we are completely boxed out of taking other Houston Texans here. We can always go through. We can always take Dalton Schultz later on. So obviously Schultz now at this point is going to be a top target of ours. But I don't know. Awkward spot. Not going to be a situation in which you see too many drafts where Stroud falls that far, but we'll take him. Now, what's also interesting, right, is once we take Stroud there at 64, we're more likely than not only taking 2 QBs. We took Kelsey as well in round 3, so more likely than not, we're only taking 2 tight ends, especially if we decide to pull the trigger on Schultz. Our other potential QB stacks are going to be obviously Cousins for the Bijan London pairing, as well as Burrow. If we look at where we have to be worried about Cousins, we have to be worried about the team here behind us who took Pitts, potentially going Cousins. Sebastian says, do you think Hollywood or Worthy first? I would probably rather have Worthy over Hollywood. Okay, Jones goes 70. Keon Coleman off the board, 71. This is a very interesting board. Calvin Ridley went 49. I did not even notice that. Getting the Levis bump. Oh, I forgot to tell y'all too. Actually ran into someone at the airport. I should have pulled this up at the very beginning. I'll pull up the picture at the beginning of the stream tomorrow, and I'll tell the story at the beginning of the stream tomorrow as well. But I ran into someone at the airport that drafts with us on Underdog, that hangs out in these streams. But we'll talk about that more, and I'll pull up the picture where we can because he tweeted it out, so I have it. It says, you taking the Chiefs or the field to win the Super Bowl this year? Obviously, with the NFL, you have to take the field. I think the Chiefs should be favorites, but with honestly any sport league, 30 teams, the Chiefs versus 29 other teams, probably going to take the 29 teams. Okay, so there are a couple 0 RB teams in here. You got Carved Muffin, who's out in these drafts all the time with the 0 RB builds, which a pretty interesting team. I mean, they've gotten some massive values in this draft as well. I mean, if you're going to go 0 RB, I 100% think you want that elite level quarterback, which they have with Lamar. Here we only have 2 receivers through the first 6 rounds. So, I mean, we're most likely going to be pulling the trigger on a receiver here at pick 81. 31 other teams, not 29. I apologize. JSN goes 78. So that team continues to build on their wide receiver room. It's an awkward spot for them. Hopkins goes 79. Zamir off the board. And then we need a receiver. I maybe consider Rice on the way back around 8. I'm not drafting Rashee Rice in round 7 currently. Christian Watson would be for a Reed build. I would be taking Christian Watson if I was going to take Jordan Love, but there's no reason for us to take Love. So we'll go ahead. We'll take Deontay Johnson. Kyler Murray goes immediately after. I love Kyler in a vacuum, but the issue is we already have one unstacked quarterback. I don't want to be taking another. Ferguson off 83. I think we could consider Rashee Rice here at 88 to get the Kelsey correlation if that matters. I think I'd potentially consider Christian Watson there at 88 as well. I just wasn't going to take him over Deontay with no option of taking Love. And yeah, that team there goes Jordan Love, Christian Watson. This team went Ferguson, Dak. Let's go Rice or Brooks. We're going to have a lot of teams, looks like, with the combo Deontay Johnson and Jonathan Brooks. We are going to take Jonathan Brooks here, hook 'em horns. Dear God. Running back is probably not doing much at the beginning of the season. We're chasing upside for weeks 15, 16, 17. Am I happy to be hitching my wagon to the Bryce Young train? Nope. I am not. But no, I don't think it's crazy at all to think Jonathan Brooks has a chance to be a top 15 RB. Now, I mean, we talked about this all offseason. It's been really the story of the offseason from a dynasty perspective. Obviously, it's leaking into redraft leagues now and best ball leagues. But if you are looking at this rookie class, we have never seen rookie wide receivers been this expensive before. It's never happened. And we have never seen rookie running backs be this cheap before. Now, of course, with that being said, it's a very strong rookie wide receiver class, and it's a very weak rookie running back class. But it's priced in, you know. When's the last time the RB1 in a rookie class was taken pick 88? Even in 2014, I doubt Bishop Sankey was going this far. Isaac says, thoughts on Josh Jacobs and Aaron Jones? Aaron Jones, massive drop-off in efficiency, hard to stay healthy, extremely old. His team just decided to pay another running back and get rid of him. And now he's going to a questionable offense. I really have little to no faith in Aaron Jones. Jacobs, on the other hand, Jacobs, younger back, gets a much better offense than what he was in previously. A team's willing to pay him. So, I mean, I have Jacobs well ahead of Aaron Jones. And I was in Tampa, my friend, for my brother's graduation. But we are back. We fly to France for the Ironman June 9th, and we'll be here every single night until then, streaming. Okay, so let's move this over. Njoku, if he were to make it to us 105, obviously I like the price of him. But the issue is we kind of have to be targeting Dalton Schultz later on with an unstacked Stroud. So yeah, Njoku goes 99. Where can we take Schultz? I think we see if we can get Schultz at 129. I think that's the plan. Really, there's not too much of a reason to take an unstacked Caleb when you have so many weapons in his offense that you can go with. The only instance in which I think we would take him if it was like a crazy value that we couldn't pass up on, similar to the situation that we found ourselves in with Stroud. Okay, Caleb goes 103. Daniel's off the board. I think we're going to just continue to take wide receiver here. I think we're going to go Tyler Lockett. Need a receiver. We don't have the Josh Allen stack for Curtis Samuel. Mike Williams, I think you're going to see him fall behind Lockett in the vast majority of these drafts. And the thing is, we're always going to get a running back that we like on the way back around 10. Sean says, do you have an Instagram or Facebook we can follow for updates? I have no Facebook, my friend. I have a personal Instagram, Mason_Dodd, DODD. I'm not going to be posting really YouTube updates and stuff. I'll just post a cute picture of me whenever I'm feeling good. And I have Twitter, kind of same thing. Really, I found I just like YouTube the best. So, sorry. I did say in the last live stream that we did, though, that we were going on that trip. So, hopefully we gave people a heads up, or at least enough of a heads up. I'm definitely not taking Shaheed, definitely not taking A.D. Mitchell. Big reason we took Lockett in the last round is wide receivers here. Gross. It's either Chubb, Eckler, Edwards. We just took Chubb in the last round. I don't know if we want to continue to take running backs with torn Achilles. So we're going to take a washed up Austin Eckler, who gets paid absolutely no money to go to Washington. So, yeah, well, we'll take Eckler and understand that Jaden Daniels is probably going to be stealing rushing touchdowns with Brian Robinson. Jaden Daniels is probably going to have a lower checkdown rate. Austin Eckler's probably washed, indicated by a bunch of different things, including the fact that no team really wants to give him any type of money. Isaac says you only have personal Instagram. There's a Flock Fantasy Instagram. Is that not you? That is me. I don't even have the login on my phone, though, so I have somebody else running it, and I believe they're not going to start posting again until a month or two from now, my friend. To be completely honest with you, I'm not on Instagram very often. Caleb says, non-football question, what are the best running shoes? I love Asics. I wore Brooks for a little bit, but they hurt my feet. So I went to like Feet Fleet in Austin, where they like scan your feet and tell you like what fits best for you. I have like a long and skinny foot, so they told me like Asics were good because they're Japanese, and they said that they're made for skinnier feet. So I got Asics. I mean, I run a lot. I never get hurt, so I like them. Yeah, the Flock Fantasy Instagram should start posting again a little bit. It's just like there's not a lot happening, right? I mean, the news that we got the past 2 weeks was Kyron Williams news. That's pretty much it. And that's something we would just rather talk about on live stream. I'd rather ask y'all about it, what's going on. May says, I work at a shoe store. The new Asics are great. Cumulus and Nimbus styles are great. Yeah, I love them. Like I have probably 5 pairs of Asics running shoes in my closet right now. George says he'd take Neighbors over Harrison. I just think the Cardinals offense is going to be much better than what you have in New York. And I think Harrison was a better prospect. Neighbors, you can make an argument as less target competition, given the fact that Harrison has to go up against a Mr. Trey McBride. Okay, so since we have 4 running backs now with Bijan, James Cook, Jonathan Brooks, and Austin Eckler, if we were to take another running back, it will be our last. But plan A, of course, is Dalton Schultz, considering the fact that we took an unstacked Stroud. So we need Schultz. Plan B is probably Joshua Palmer. Plan C is probably Blake Corum. Plan D is probably Justin Herbert. And Dalton Schultz goes to the team in front of us. RIP, ladies and gentlemen. Try to get cute with it. Did not work out. And now we're in a world of pain. Okay. Now what do we do other than sit here and cry? The issue is we go Blake Corum. Are we really that excited about taking him? If we take him, we can't take another running back. We'll take him. Just scarred from the last draft where we got done taking running backs early. Wide receivers did not fall, and we were in a world of pain. But let's learn the lessons in the $3 drafts. Let's ruin some teams. And hopefully I'm able to learn the lesson for when we get into the high stakes drafts going forward. Now, plan is Cousins over Herbert, considering that we have London as well as. Okay, here's what actually we are going to do. We're not taking Cousins or Herbert, ladies and gentlemen. Let me show this. Could be a mistake. But the reason that Cousins ADP is here is it's either the Bijan, London, or Kyle Pitts team taking him. The Kyle Pitts team was behind us. They passed on Cousins. If the Kyle Pitts team was in front of us and we had to worry about them taking Cousins, clearly he is the no-brainer pick, and he probably still is the no-brainer pick. But I'm tilted because we didn't get Dalton Schultz. We're about to see a wide receiver fall off. So let's go ahead. Let's take Gabe Davis. Team in front of us, I just absolutely hate. But yeah, we are going to sit here in a world of pain. Whiffed on Dalton Schultz. Probably just botched us with Cousins. And we will see what happens. We'll see what happens. Let's move this down. Eddie says, Mason, you're taking Eckler over Brian Robinson. Why? My friend Brian Robinson went before us. John says, there doesn't seem to be any big name free agents this year compared to last year with Odell, Fournette, etc. Thank God, my friend, because I am always wasting draft picks on them. Wasted picks. I mean, like I said, we got saved with Fournette last year. Fournette, the process was horrible. We just got extremely lucky that he came in and scored some touchdowns at the end of the year. But I'm just sweating, for the love of God. Let's see Cousins on the way back around. If we don't see Cousins, Bryce Young, come on down. George says, Herbert has QB1 upside. The thing with Herbert, he's not going to run the ball, right? So if you think Justin Herbert's going to go out and be for him to be like a top 5 quarterback in fantasy, is to be top 3 in the NFL in passing yards and passing touchdowns. So if you think Justin Herbert's going to be a top 3 QB in the NFL in passing yards and passing touchdowns, when his receivers are Ladd McConkey, Quentin Johnson, Joshua Palmer, DJ Chark, his tight ends, God knows who, his running backs can't catch a ball. It's like, if you believe that Herbert's going to be a top 3 quarterback in passing yards and passing touchdowns, which I think is probably what has to happen if he's a top 5 QB in fantasy, you should be drafting the hell out of Quentin Johnston. You should be drafting so much Ladd McConkey. So I think I'm not saying Herbert's a bad value at all. I like Herbert valued 137. Trust me, I'm not talking down on Herbert or any of those guys. I'm just saying, like, if you're going to take that aggressive of a stance on Justin Herbert and you truly believe that, the math works out where you better be going out there and taking his pass catchers. Okay. Please, God. Please. I'm the only team here with an Atlanta Falcon. Cousins ain't going to run the ball. Only a fool will take a quarterback that's not going to run the ball with none of his options, such as the clown at 9 who took Cedar Stroud with no Dell, Diggs, or Collins. Let's see. Ricky 147. No matter what happens here, we cannot take a running back. We already have Bijan, James Cook, Jonathan Brooks, Austin Eckler, and Blake Corum. I'm sweating. Okay, this team has Burrow and Lawrence. They're not taking a QB. This team has Lamar and Tua. They're not taking a QB. This team is Richardson, Daniels, Herbert. They're not taking a QB. This is the only team we have to worry about taking Cousins. They don't have a Falcon. And they go Cousins. RIP, ladies and gentlemen. We tried our best to win the tournament. It's the way the cookie crumbles. And now you're going to see a grown man cry on a live stream. And now we are going to have to pivot and go and get some options we can stack later on. So we're going to take Jalen Polk here, 153, because Drake May all of a sudden needs to be in play. I guess Geno Smith is in play. Bryce Young's in play. We have the Geno Lockett combo. We have the May Polk combo available. We have the Bryce Young, Jonathan Brooks, Deontay Johnson combo. Oh, let me turn off my camera as I get the tissues. Vinny says the best laid plans. We tried our best, ladies and gentlemen. He fell 2 picks away. Obviously, if we wanted to have the highest floor team, if I wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to look like an idiot on live stream, we would have just taken him at pick 136. But I care more about trying to win tournaments than trying to not look like an idiot. So I honestly don't regret it. I think it was a good process. I know 99% of other people would have just taken him, but I'm trying to get him paired up with Gabe Davis. I actually like the upside of that move. Okay. Let's move this down. All right. Rodgers, not really an option for us. We can't go with the running backs. Oh, dear God. Oh, dear God. I am a Carolina Panther fan this season. Do I want to be? No. Is it going to work out? Probably not. But we are going to go ahead and we're going to take Adam Thielen, pick 160. Another Carolina onslaught. I will update y'all with our exposures after this draft. But I would be very surprised if we had a team more than we have the Carolina Panthers. Okay, we're going to let's pull up how bad Bryce Young was last year. Okay. Hey, I will say I interviewed Bryce Young last year. So I have a little connection. Bryce Young was dead last season in adjusted yards per pass attempt. 5.0. The quarterback directly ahead of him, Mac Jones, no longer a starter. The quarterback directly ahead of Mac Jones, Joshua Dobbs, no longer a starter. The quarterback directly ahead of Joshua Dobbs, Sam Howell, no longer a starter. The quarterback ahead of Sam Howell, Zach Wilson, no longer a starter. The quarterback ahead of Zach Wilson, Ryan Tannehill, no longer a starter. The quarterback ahead of Ryan Tannehill, Kenny Pickett, no longer a starter. The quarterback ahead of Kenny Pickett, Aiden O'Connell, no longer a starter. So out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The bottom 8 QBs in adjusted yards per pass attempt last year. The only guy that will be a starter this next season is Bryce Young. Is it because he looked great on film. There's something that has fundamentally, no, it's because they have too much invested into him to do anything else. And all of a sudden, I am throwing myself in that same sinking ship for God knows what reason. When we don't have to. But let's move this around. We are QB, tight end, and maybe a receiver. So tight end, we have Kelsey. Obviously, we can get away with the 2 tight end builds when we just take Kelsey. I think if we wait this long and take our second and third, we can go 3 tight ends as well if we wanted. Just kind of depend on who we get, what the value is. Quarterback, everybody's gone. The next best guy is Derek Carr, then Bryce Young, then Drake May, then Justin Fields. So let's see what High Forever does. High Forever took Richardson, Daniels, Herbert. Are you freaking kidding me? There goes Zay Jones. We're going to take Cade Otton, and we're going to call it a day at tight end, ladies and gentlemen. Take Otton, and then go, okay, Dunsky's at tight ends. We're going to take 2 more QBs and a receiver. If we really wanted to, I'm not a Javon Baker guy, but we can take Javon Baker, pair him up with Jalen Polk, turn this into a Drake May team. Jeep guy says Mason's a Panthers fanboy confirmed. 100%. I'm a Panthers fanboy now. I have no other option, my friend. I may be getting a Bryce Young jersey. We may have to. Okay. I would probably rather have Demario Douglas than Javon Baker. So I'm going to take Demario Douglas. Oh, shoot. We're not on the clock yet. We still may get him. We'll see. Dangy says, how many jerseys do you have currently? I have only retro jerseys, my friend. I have an Odell Giants jersey. I have a Sammy Watkins Bills jersey. I have an Amari Cooper Raiders jersey. I have a Marvin Mims. I have a KJ Hamler jersey. Don't ask me how. Don't ask me why. An OG member of the flock sent us the KJ Hamler one. I think that's it. But yeah, the reason why I have the Odell Giants, the Amari Raiders, what was the last one we said? Sammy Watkins Bills, is I started playing Dynasty Fantasy Football in like 2014. That's when I became absolutely obsessed, playing like 20 plus Dynasty leagues year round. And yeah, that's like, whenever I think about whenever I had like the strongest personal connection and like when I really, really fell in love with it was like 2014, 2015. I would walk around, listen to podcasts from the time I woke up to the time I went to bed. I was listening to the Dynasty podcast. I was just daydreaming of what Sammy Watkins, Amari, and Odell were going to be the rest of their careers. Like 2014, 2015, I like really, really fell in love with everything. Okay. Derek Carr off 189. Emma says, are you going to do a picnic again this year if you win the 1.5 million? 100%. Yeah, we'll do a flock meetup again. We're going to do a flock meetup regardless. If we win 1.5 million on Best Ball Mania, maybe it's a little bit of a bigger party, but Dengue says, do you still do that now with podcast? No, starting in, I want to say 2020, when we started working full time, I really don't listen to any other Dynasty podcast or anything like that. One, because I found that it kind of messes up my own stuff, and I found that I'm actually better doing my own research, is what you kind of find, especially whenever I used to listen to like a zillion different podcasts from the time I woke up to the time I went to bed. is they all said the same thing. They all just repeated each other, and they all just kind of went back and forth and kind of got into an echo chamber. So I would rather be different and not be in that echo chamber. Okay, let's move this around. Drake May goes 194. Obviously, May was in play for us when we had Polk, Demario Douglas. But instead, Mr. Bryce Young, come on down, my friend. Come on down. Okay. Dylan says the dog coming in. The dog has been under the desk the entire time, my friend. Entire time. Okay. What other quarterbacks could we take? Dear God. An unstacked Fields just because if he does start, it's going to come through rushing upside. We make this a Penix team and say Cousins goes down, Penix comes in, lights it up with Bijan London. Honestly, I don't hate that idea. It's going to be a Penix team, ladies and gentlemen. A-Rod says Bryce Young can't be worse than he was last year. Even if Bryce Young is 10% better than he was last year, he's unstartable. Our team's dead. I think we're going to take Michael Penix. Was this what I imagined tonight would be? Our first night getting back in these drafts? No. Is this my first time drafting a bad fantasy football team? No. This is my first time having an entire live stream with only bad teams? No. Will it be my last time? No. But we will be right back next time. What was the mistake in this one? I don't know. Maybe the mistake was don't give me pick 9. Don't give me pick 10. What the hell? Why do I only get these picks? Okay, I'm done sitting here saying, oh, my fault. No, not my fault at all. Give me a good pick, and I'll give you a good team. Appreciate you. Love you. Hope to see you tomorrow. And, yeah, thank you so much for everything.